good morning, and welcome to another edition of Motivational Sundays with Kevin and Friends. This show was originally created from one of more than 300 motivational quotes I had created for the content of my books and from over the 40 years of studying human behavior. Curious, I always wondered how the same quote landed on other people. Are they words that just laid there on a page, or were there a conversation to be had? I'm Kevin McLemore, I'm your host. I am joined with my co-host, Dave Curtis, Chrissy Everett, the pro tennis player. Yes, you don't be surprised. I told you, when you're in Florida, you get a suntan. Uh, Screen Actors Guild president, Andrea Lyman. I am also flanked over here with Mr. JD, Justin Davis, senator, extraordinaire, actor, just good people all around. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I know everyone's looking at the cast and going, wow, I didn't know you got a senator on your podcast. Yes, 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 we do. This space is designed not to make you comfortable, but to inspire you, educate you, and create a framework that will make you think. This episode is brought to you by RMK Productions and the 10 United Podcast Network. Our purpose is hope, helping other people every day. So each week we throw out a quote. Everyone brings a quote. Everyone's on camera. We talk about it, how we interpret it. And Miss Chris Everett has brought us a quote. We're going to hear her story. And I'll throw it out to you, to our family and friends out there in our virtual world. The quote is an original and it's part of her life experience. Acceptance brings a quiet mind, which is the answer to all my problems. Miss Everett, explain this quote and how it landed on you.
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone, if it's morning when you're listening to this. So yeah, acceptance brings a quiet mind, which is the answer to all my problems. So this came, a friend and I studied A Course in Miracles for a very long time. We've done some other spiritual programs together. And when we came up with a version of this, there are actually a few quotes, but this is the one I'm throwing out this week. At the time, I was listening to an album that was titled Freedom by my favorite artist. So this is like 12, 15 years ago, something. It's a long time ago. Anyway, between hearing Freedom and reading this Course in Miracles and studying it, we just kind of came up with these quotes, and my friend put them on a shirt, and one of them, give you a different quote really quickly, is relax, you're forgiven. Freedom, it's my choice. So they were along those lines, very, quick. And then acceptance brings a quiet mind was one of them. And so this week, when I had the quote, I was talking to my friend and I was like, I gotta come up with a quote. And I knew he was wearing a hat that said acceptance brings a quiet mind. But then he added this week, which is the answer to all my problems. And, the way that lands for me is that, like, anytime I'm in resistance to anything, there's a problem. There's a problem, and I don't want to be in problems. I'm going to give you an example. I was trying to avoid a parking fee. I had to go see a play that I'm working on, understudying for anyway. And so I'm driving around for hours. Okay, I got to find, all right, half hour. But I got to find a spot, got to find a spot. Don't want to go in a garage. Middle of the day, don't want to spend the money. And so I found a visitor spot and I thought, this is great. I go, I see the play, I come back and my car is gone. And it's gone because it's been towed because Chrissy, who usually reads signs, did not read the street cleaning sign. So towing happens on the second and fourth Wednesday. And in that moment, I was like, okay, I didn't read the sign. I had to accept that my car was not going to be there and it was going to cost me nearly $200 to get it out. And I thought, all right, what can I do? I could have like gotten mad and I could have stormed around. I could have, done all kinds of things, and acceptance. I just had to accept that that's what was going on. My car wasn't there and I had to go get it, and it's going to cost me. So that was the answer, right? I didn't want upset in my life. So I had to, the problem was that I was going to be upset. The answer was acceptance of the situation. So that's how the quote lands with me and how I've applied it just this week.
And for those of you that are listening, take the advice from Chrissy Everett, read the sign. Justin, how you doing, young man?
I'm pretty well.
And acceptance
Keeping
is a quiet mind, which is all the answers. How does that land on you?
Yeah, I read that again this morning. I was like, wow, that's timely. So yesterday I was at this workshop for the new moon that's coming up soon, and so we were going on a hike and just processing life and stuff. And we were talking about things that are like harming us and things that are also healing us, and like things that are restorative and such. And I just had this moment where I just was crying and I needed to scream, and I screamed because I realized I had the acceptance part that like, wow, some of these like relationships that I've had and some of the things that I thought would never change have changed. And it's like at a point where it's just different. Like where my like some of it was based in faith stuff and everything, and it was just different. And being able to accept that had changed when I had gone through a life of like not changing, not thinking that would change, not thinking that it was okay or possible to change in those areas, really was the first time after the tears and the screaming was like the first time I was like, this is weird, but okay. Like, yeah, I can sleep fine. Like it's not issues. It's another sense, a deeper level of peace than I had before and stuff, of just like accepting where I'm at and who I am, and that's okay. And so that's really where this quote hits me today.
And that was a great phrase, accepting where you're at. And we all are standing in some place. And some of us are going somewhere, and some of us are just going. And so thank you for that. And I hope our listeners chew on that for a little bit. Andrea Lyman, all right, as always, I know you're going to bring in the family dynamics and so forth, because, she's all about family. And I'm still waiting to get your 100-year-old relative on my podcast to talk about
112-year-old friend.
112-year-old friend. I can't wait to have her on my podcast, because I know she's got
I
some
don't know if
secrets.
she'll do 9 o'clock.
Well, I'll do whatever time she wants.
Okay.
Acceptance brings a quiet mind. That means accepting that I will change. You do know, if a man wants something bad enough, he will do whatever it takes, and then he will change his behavior in order to get it. So
Okay.
I'll do 9 p.m. I'll do 9 a.m. I'll do 6 o'clock. I'll do green eggs and ham. I'll talk to Sam and spam I'll do whatever I can to bring me a 112-year-old lady in here so we can go ahead and talk about life, because that's what it's all about. Because someone that's lived, she can give us all an education, and we can all become woke.
Yep, she's got great stories.
All right, let's see what you got to say. Acceptance brings
Okay.
mind.
And it's funny you say family, because I have so much family, and it did bring that to mind. My cousin, who's an actor, who's very successful in my eyes, but anyway, she was asking me what I do, when you get to the tough parts where you're not getting, where you're auditioning and you're not booking gigs, how do you get through that? And I was thinking, well, what I do is I changed my way of thinking. So I'm happy that I'm getting the auditions. I'm happy that I sent them in, and as long as it's something that I'm satisfied with, you know, that I don't have regrets about the audition. And then I just let it go. Because I mean, if I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it. If I'm not, I'm not.
Good.
And recently I had a spate of, I'm sure Chris had the same, and David had the same ones, of a movie that's coming up. And there were like 5 or 6 different one-liner roles. And my agent said, send in 2 or 3, and I could send it to him or send it to the casting people. And so I thought, well, I'll record all of them and then I'll see which ones I want to send in. And then I was thinking, well, they're all different. And since he said I could send it directly to the casting people who don't know that he said send 2 or 3, I'm sending them all in, because I don't want to sit there thinking, what if I had sent in that one? That one would have gotten me the role. And then I haven't heard anything, which may or may not mean anything, but I just have to say I sent it in. And that's the main thing. I've had other auditions sent, and sending them in, and I try to send them in early. And that's just, I just accept that I got the audition, that I sent it in, and then throw it away after that. Because if I start thinking, when's the last time I booked something, and when's it, that way lies madness. So I just find that effort. What was the last part of it? It was because that's,
which is the answer to all my
yeah.
problems.
So that's the part. It's just, I accept it, accept that I sent it in, and I did my best, and then that solves all those problems of, oh my God, where am I now? And why am I not making money? And why am I not booking things? And the other, yeah, so that's my acceptance thing.
All right, and thank you, and thank you. And for those out there in the entertainment world, I've got 4 beautiful people in here, 4 talented people that are committed to their craft. Hey, don't make them stand in line. Go ahead and give them a shot. Okay, Andrea, Chris, David, and Justin, and we got a couple more that comes on here. Naheem is out there in Chicago doing great work with his youth group and so forth. We've got a couple other people that are on the podcast that are doing some things with Hallmark. Doing that, we're doing great things. These are not people that are just standing around and becoming part of the problem. These are people that's on this podcast that are part of the solution. So when you talk about their why and their motivation, reach out to one of these people. Dave Curtis, actor, producer, writer, soon to be working on a screenplay with yours truly. All right. This quote, acceptance brings a quiet mind, which is the answer to all my problems. An original from Chrissy Everett, famous tennis player. Told you she was Black.
Good morning, everyone. Kevin, Andrea, Chris, Justin, thanks for having us on, Kevin, as usual. It was great to see and meet you. Was it last week or the week before?
It was last weekend.
It was last weekend. Crazy.
22nd of April.
Crazy.
I loved you guys. I fell in love. I cried twice. I would have cried more, but I had witnesses. I didn't want too many people to know. I cried twice.
It took me a week, and I'm still recovering from last weekend. Really, it was a beautiful time all around. And regarding, I could go on and on. It was just a beautiful event for a whole lot of reasons, as Andrea probably already knows, in regards to relationships and building infrastructure for this area. Amazing. I'm like getting teared up right here now, thinking and talking about it. So the quote, how does that, I purposefully did not think about the answer because I wanted it to be fresh as I spoke. How that lands for me is there are some things that I'm going through personally that that I, won't share here, but what it reminds me of is when I used to get so upset or reactionary when things would go wrong. I would be so emotional about it, like it's stupid stuff. Like if I'm doing the dishes years ago and a glass plate would break on the ground or something, I'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. I love that plate. And now I have to sweep it up. Now I have to make sure I get all the pieces so I don't cut my feet. And I would just be so upset. And then I remember it happened again. And I was like, I can't believe this happened again. Took a deep breath and thought, it broke. Let me sweep it up. Make sure all the pieces are there. And do it without the emotion, because I have to accept that it broke, that I have to replace it, that I have to make sure I get all the pieces and replace it. That's it. That's what it made me think of. And it made me think of my situation that I was talking about earlier, about how there's some things that I'm going through. And the first week or so that I found out the things, I was like slightly frantic and, emotional. And then after the 2 weeks, took a deep breath and said, well, this is what it is. And let's deal with it and move on. And a friend and I, we have this saying about, we have to live this life until the wheels fall off. And that's kind of my approach with whatever comes my way, is keeping that quiet mind, regardless. If I win a big part in a movie, thankfully, keeping a quiet mind. If a relative passes away, thankful for what they've contributed to my life and others, and keep a quiet mind. I think that last phrase about that being the answer to all my problems is the way to go through life, man. I really think so. After the hurrahs and after the sobs, you come back to that place of, that's the answer to all my problems. Sorry, I sound like a preacher now.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I had an editor from
Hallelujah.
I had an editor from Random House tell me that one of my motivational books was didactic. At that time, I didn't know what didactic meant. Looked it up. It says preachy. I'm going, what do you think motivational people do?
Hello. Hello. You are somebody.
Right.
But I think what you said, if I was to surmise what you just said and put it into 2 words, it would be truth and reality of what everyone has said. Acceptance brings a quiet mind, which is the answer to all your problems. We look at people every single day. We walk past them. Sometimes we say hello. Sometimes we just walk past them and don't even know that, they may be going through something at that time. David, you and I have shared issues, and I think with my family, with the exception of Justin and Chris, the 19th of April, my heart decided to test me and landed me in the ER, which I was surprised. I'm training for a half marathon in June, and I had none of the symptoms that will lead you to what they call a practice heart attack. And I'm saying this publicly, but when you look back at, and I heard Les Brown say this, and Tony Robbins and a lot of other motivational speakers say, the day that you're born, they write down, mine is December 10th, 1958, and that little dash in there, until they put another date on there. That's how you live your life, and accepting your reality for where you are. And I say this and put it out there to the world. all of the issues and all the problems, all the things that we have put labels on, the answer to all of our problems is how your perception and your interpretation on what your truth is. If your perception and interpretation is based on hatred, racism, criticism, or any story that is not positive, then that's your reality. If your acceptance of what the reality is that being where you are and doing good in this world and sharing your gift, your acceptance is that you are no longer part of the problem. You are part of the solution. So everything about life is chance and choices and the actions that follow. So for our listeners, when you look at this quote or you listen to this podcast, stand in the mirror and read this quote to yourself. Acceptance brings a quiet mind. And then look at yourself, which is the answer to all my problems. Wait a minute, I'm dropping the mic. All right. Hey, as you know, for our listeners, we have a good time here. Like I said, education is not designed to make you think. Wait a minute, let me back this up. Education is not designed to make you comfortable. It's designed to make you think. And hopefully we made you think, we made you laugh, we make you smile. You know, we got some beautiful people. We always wrap up at the end of the day because I appreciate until we pick up sponsors so I can pay the people that's on this podcast with me. I like to promote the living crap out of them. These young people that is on this podcast are some talented people. All right, Hollywood. This may come as a surprise. We're accepting the reality because of the color of our skin and because of where we're at. We're not your first choice, but if you want to look at real talent, we should be your first choice. And just because you write a role that may not look like you or may not feel like you, we're talented actors, so we can perform the job the way it's written on the piece of paper. You know, everything's subject to change. Just because it says, you know, what if my friend says, you know, you write a part for an Indian, you hire a white actor. You write a part for someone that's disabled, you put an actor in a wheelchair. You know, and what did he say? You write a part for a Black person that's a thug or whatever the case may be, you hire a Black person. You write a part for a Hispanic person and he happens to be Hispanic, he goes, hire who in the hell you please, but you know, just hire anyone. Anyone can play Hispanic. But anyway, it's that give a brother, a sister, a chance. We can say more than one line. We can say more than 5 lines, and we can tell a story and make a story, bring it to life like no other person can do it. Just give us a chance. That's all we have. And look at these people: Hallmark, Sony Studios, Warner Brother Pictures, whatever. I'm calling you all out. You don't need an audition tape. You don't need a reel. Just come over here and look at Motivational Sundays, because these people have a heart and a commitment to their craft. Boston, you know, you're living strong. The secret society of Black creatives is strong, and these are the members of that program. Did I get it right? Did I say it right?
Did.
All right. So, Andrea, what's up? What's going on in the life of you know, the SAG and AFTRA organization, your talents, your auditions? What's on the horizon?
Well, I'm doing a bunch of musical shows this month. I have my own solo musical show, Broadway Lady, where I sing show tunes. So got about 4 or 5 of those this month, and I love doing that. And next Monday, we're having the SAG New England local SAG-AFTRA annual meeting, and so all members should sign up for that, and it'll be on Zoom, which I alone seem to love, and rather than in person. And so that's coming up, and then Roxbury International Film Festival has stuff happening all the time. They've got a few events this month. One of them is Aftershock later this month, which is a film about Black women and the mortality rate, which is really high. what's happening with that, with Black women dying in pregnancy. So and of course the film festival is in June.
All right, and I promise you I will be back up there in June. I think it's June 20th. Is that's right?
20th through the 28th.
Boy, I got all my notes and stuff. I'm on today. JD, Justin, Davis, how you doing? What's going on with your life? Anything going, writing anything, singing anything, auditions coming up? What's up?
Yeah, I'm on backstage sending out all the audition stuff. So there's that. I have a gig coming up on Friday the 12th at the Jungle in Boston for music. So I'll have like a 45-minute set doing a full band. I said last week I dropped a single recently, like a week ago. So we'll be playing that as well as some other originals. So very exciting. I also found out right after our call last week, it was such a great, just gift of a surprise. I Want to Dance with Somebody is on Netflix.
Yep.
So you can catch my face on Netflix singing behind, or really dancing behind Whitney on a pivotal scene. So that's fun. And outside of that, yeah, just looking, auditioning for more stuff. So right now we're kind of going down to a quiet thing and then kick it back up later on.
Hey, Justin, why don't you come on Talking with Kevin and Son? Let's talk about making music and let's play some of your music. It's about 10,000 people in there, and let's play your song and talk about the whole process and whatever, give you some exposure. So
Thank you.
After this, Chrissy Everett. All right, I know all of our people are totally confused. They're Googling Chrissy Everett right now. I'm going, she doesn't look the same, but she's a champion tennis player, and now she's on Motivational Sundays with Kevin and Friends. Chris, what's going on with you?
Oh dear, oh dear. Well, actually, last night my band played, and I was on last week and forgot to mention that. So being up this morning was a little bit of a challenge. But going forward, I have a rehearsal today for Confidential Informant, which is a play I'm going to start working, really getting into in May. We're going to go up in the second to last weekend in June. Yeah, and the rest of it is just, hitting the pavement, sending in those auditions, doing the do.
And Chris, I'm going to send you the same invitation. But I'm going to ask you to bring on your whole band, introduce them, maybe play a little uncut, share some love, ask your band members. I'll give you my number, and we'll go from there and, bring you on the podcast. You're up for that?
I would definitely be up for that.
All right.
There's 8 of us, so
That's okay. I can have
100.
I can have up to 100 people on here, and we can do the audio sound check. I'll talk to people so we get it right. We'll do a little teaser reel, whatever, promote you, and get you hired some places, whatever. If you got a single out, get it played live. If you guys can do live, and otherwise I'll release the single on my network. Be more than happy to give you all the love. And I've done other groups. We did the Sounds of Ohio. We produced a whole concert with them. We did Malik Hawkins, which is a child actor, when he was going through, I think, North Carolina State and whatever, but he's a young rapper, clean rapper. I had Aaron Eubanks, which is a big time record producer here in Philadelphia, that was on talking about the business and how to break into the business. And he talked about how his uncle and family were, part of the original crew that created rap when it was hardcore rap on the streets. So yeah, I got some people out there, And the reason why I saved David for last on this, because part of my experience, we went to a restaurant to get breakfast. And I'm going to tell you, this is the reason why I love creative people, okay? Because we have no inhibitions. We were standing there placing our order and open up a song. David sung, Naheem brought in, and the owner of it was Joe's, David?
Yeah, Joe's famous. Joe's famous.
Famous something, but it was 4-part harmony. It was so much fun. We were singing Michael Jackson's song, I'll Be There. It was so much fun. And we just did it impromptu. That's the reason why I love being around talented people, because talented people, all they want to do is work every single day at their craft. You know, you'll never hear a person committed to this business talking about, I want to get paid or whatever. All they want to do is be able to work at their craft and make a living at doing it. And so for Hollywood, recognize. So David, film producer, actor, voiceover talent, downright good person. I mean, all these people are genuine people. What's up, Dave?
The check is in the mail first and foremost. I gotta
I
pay
haven't cashed the
bills.
last two. Just quit sending them. This is genuine. I'm not cashing the check. Okay.
You know, my first love has always been music from when I was a little boy. And it's like the acting thing got in the way of the music stuff, you know, because I think for the most part, most of the actors and people on SSBC they see me as Dave the actor. They don't really see the music part of me, but music still is a huge part of my life that, you know, one day I have to combine the two, not in a musical. Sorry, Andrea. But we've had conversations about musicals and such. I'm not really that big of a fan of musicals. I like acting and I like music, but I digress. What's going on with me? You know, auditions. I have a short film that I wrote. It was 5 years in the making, about loss, that I sent to, does anyone know Cisco Santiago, DP, filmmaker,
No.
editor? I sent it to him, you know, because I've worked with him with RMK Productions. Really good, awesome person. Well, I sent it to him. And he said, yeah, man, I'll get to it. You know, I'll read it or whatever. It's just 8 pages, 8 to 10 pages, 3 characters. And he called me when he read it. He goes, Dave, oh my God, this movie, oh my God, it's so amazing. The ending, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, okay, simmer down now. And I said, okay, so when do you want to do it? He gave me access. Does anyone know what Shot Deck is? Shot Deck is a program that you can use to kind of pick out pictures of scenes that have the lighting and colors of the scene that you want to film. It's like hundreds of thousands of films that you have access to, and just getting shots of those films, like just the graphics. Anyways, he allowed me access to his Shot Deck so I can start picking scenes from the looks of the movie. So long story short, we're probably going to be shooting this fall about something. In addition to that, I was talking to Malik Williams, who's one of the members of SSBC, and I said, hey man, you know, I've been in music for most of my life and I've never released anything. I've produced stuff, I've engineered stuff, and I've played on stuff, but I've never released anything on my own. Needless to say, Malik said the same thing. He's never released anything on his own. And I was like, so you thinking what I'm thinking? So there's talks of possibly releasing something, you know, towards the latter end of the year.
All right. Well, I can't wait. I will be the first to buy a ticket to see you perform.
Awesome.
To our listeners, I hope you have enjoyed this episode of Motivational Sundays. I hope you like it enough to come back and share this. You can find everything about what I do, my podcast, Talking with Kevin and Son, as well as Motivational Sundays with Kevin and Friends on RMK Productions and Network on our YouTube page. I ask you, if you like it, make a comment. If you like it well enough, share it. You know, I say this, we're never going to have hundreds of thousands of people that follow us and subscribe and so forth. And that's not what I'm looking for. The people that follow us are people that have a higher call to action. They don't drive by an accident. They stop and help. Those are the people that are in my circle of friends, people that are doers and they stand by their word. So if you're that type of person, then I say share. If you're that type of person, I said subscribe. If you're that type of person, then I say we'll follow. If not, if you're just a fan or whatever, I just want you to enjoy it. And hopefully we've entertained you, we've educated you, we've enlightened you, and we touch you in a way in your heart that we change your point of view and the way that you look at humanity and this planet. So again, I thank you. Use the hashtag find 1,000 words to be kind to someone. As my grandfather always says, and I miss you, Grandpa Joseph Phillip, when you get to a point that you can help someone else, it is your duty to do so. He said, reach one, teach one, and we'll fade to black. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. Until next time, I'm your host, Kevin McLemore, joined with my friends and co-hosts, Andrea, Chris, David, and Justin. And we'll fade to black. We're out.